we are back on Radio Row, and we have not only Super Bowl champion Vinny Curry, but his Super Bowl teammate Malcolm Jenkins, and this is Eagles in New Orleans. Feels like the specifically Malcolm Jenkins Super Bowl.
Yes,
it aligns for sure. I live in both cities. Obviously, play for both teams. So yeah, to be able to watch, the Eagles come to New Orleans and hopefully bring this back home, it's definitely special for me.
We should say happy belated anniversary to you both.
Yeah.
Yesterday,
the
anniversary. What is it like when you see the guys from that team together?
I'll be ecstatic. I'll be so happy, man. You know, everybody know how much Malcolm meant to that team. You know, it was like the heart and soul of the whole entire team, especially that defense, man. And dang, man, it's a blessing in a brotherhood that just can't be broken.
Yeah, and it's special. You know, we all understand what those moments meant to the city. You know, even if in those moments we were so focused that we didn't really understand the impact, I think as the years go by and every Super Bowl that happens, you see the same stuff. Happy anniversary. And you start to really understand how special that season was and cherish, obviously, not only the journey but the relationships you had along the way.
Now, I think our listeners will also want to make sure that I ask you about the foreword that you wrote for Zack's book here. I mean, we've got all kinds of connections on this table.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Zack's been awesome. He's obviously somebody who's followed the team a great deal. Has been a great ally to me in the media. Somebody I always enjoy talking to. So
appreciate that.
We wanted to go through, the Eagles' history and point out the people who made special contributions, those leaders, those staff members. One, to be in the book, I was honored, but to be approached to be able to write the foreword and kind of, give people what to expect as they open it up was definitely something I enjoyed doing.
I appreciate that. I've said this to Malcolm, and I've said this on the air, but whenever I do these book speeches and this comes up, I say you're not allowed to have favorites, although Vinny was a great one to cover, but there's no one that I respected more during my 13 years covering the team than Malcolm, like in terms of the way he comported himself. But Vinny's awesome. He's my coworker now.
Listen.
He's my coworker.
I get it. Yo, man, the man carried himself, man. When he walked in, it was like an air behind him. You know what I mean? It was like a businessman. Like at all times, what you saw is what you got. So I definitely get it. No offense taken.
And we know that in the book that you wrote, you asked Tom Brady to write that forward. And so let's spin this game forward like 15 years. Who's going to be the Malcolm Jenkins on this team if they win? Who gets Patrick Mahomes to write the forward to their book, in 15 years? Who's going to make that play?
Ooh.
Who's going to say, come on, Pat, when he drops a pass to him?
It's either going to be, I think, Zack Baun.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, I like that
I think Zack Baun. I think his story this year
I'm very curious about your perspective.
Because I was with Zack in New Orleans, so I got to see, him just kind of work really as a special teams guy. He's learning from veterans like myself, Demario Davis, and to finally kind of get his shot and to have the year that he had is crazy. So to culminate that, and I fully anticipate him making some game-changing plays. And if he becomes a significant reason why the Eagles win another Super Bowl, I cannot wait to hear that story and understand that book.
I'm so curious about the perspective of his Saints teammates who didn't even get to see him play this position.
Yes.
And then to go have this year. And we've talked about, there's a similarity to Saquon Barkley, who, didn't get to show his full self with the Giants. And you were a guy who's moved around. It feels like this team specifically has a lot of guys who, because of this situation, have been able to show just how good they can be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a testament to Howie, because I think if you look back to our team, it was the same thing with myself, with Darren Sproles, with Ghost. It's a bunch of guys who had success other places, but really thrived when they got to this locker room. And then for me, it was them believing in me to be able to play the positions that I wanted to play, to have the role that I wanted. And my time in Philly, took off compared to what I had in New Orleans that first stint. And I think that's a testament to, people with vision, people that have a culture and know how to develop players.
I'm going to cede the floor to Vinny so you guys can I guess, reconnect here. But to follow up on Zack Baun, I did want to ask you real quick about C.J. Gardner-Johnson, someone who you were close with. You've seen him leave in a contentious way. Now he returned. He's a key part of the team. What insight do you have on CJ's career and the season he's having?
Yeah, I think the one thing that there's a lot. For one, he's like my little bro. He was when we were in New Orleans. When I first signed with New Orleans, he hit me up and wanted to pick my brain and work out, and it was the same way every single day. took notes. He followed me. He was on my coattail. I gave him everything that I had. And so to see him kind of make it his own now, even with all of the business parts of the game, to have to leave, to get injured, and then still have enough wherewithal to come back and respect to be able to handle business and kind of put your ego out of the way. And really his development as a leader on this team, the stabilizer, I think, of that defense, or at least the back end of it, somebody who's consistently making plays, who's bringing energy. You need that type of guy in your locker room. And that's who I tried to be for my locker room, was that the person who, can get you riled up, but also the player who's super prepared and understands the game of football. And I think that's one thing that I am most proud of is the intellectual part of the game that's developed for him. He's way smarter than people give him credit for. If you watch the plays that he makes, a lot of the times he might look like he's blitzing, but he's anticipating the play. He's reading his keys. That's all mental preparation. You can't play the safety position at a high level without being a smart player. And even his trash talking, we kind of label it like he's kind of this out-of-control person, but he rarely gets penalties, and he knows how to get into the opponent's head. It's very intellectual and intentional with the way that he plays the game. And so he's somebody that, I'm – regardless of where he is, I'm super proud of, just because I've seen the maturation, the hunger, and his true desire to be great. And it's fun to watch him doing the Eagles green.
Vinny, what are your favorite Malcolm memories? And then Malcolm, what are your favorite Vinny memories?
My favorite memory is go back 7 years ago. I'm running to the ball. I'm like, damn, Cooks caught that. Running to the ball. And I remember somebody passing my face on you, and I turned my head for one split second. I heard was BOW! Damn, what was that?
Set the tone.
Yo, and I just remember everybody losing their mind out there. That was first of all, that was a hell of a hustle play. Yeah. And second of all, that was a way to set the tone.
We needed to get Cooks out of the game. He was too fast. We got to get him going.
I was like, whoa. I think that was just one right there. It's like it go to the beginning of the conversation when you talk about that leadership role and what he meant to the team, and for him to make that play, I think that calmed everybody's nerves down. It was like, oh yeah, we got this. Like let's get it. Like this ain't nothing that we ain't used to or things like that. But that hit was more impactful for the team than that's talked about.
What about you, Malcolm? What's your favorite Vinny memory?
My favorite part about Vinny was, so before I got there, he was really the guy in the middle of the huddle before the games. And so, when I kind of started making speeches, he was always the person that gave me the energy back. Like if you're ever speaking in front of a crowd, you got to find one or two people that are giving you the affirmation to make sure, what you're saying is hitting. And Vinny was always that person. He's the hype man. Like he's repeating the stuff I'm saying. He's giving it back to me. So that always helped me, because it's hard to come up with a new speech every single week and it be impactful. Right. But yeah, Vinny's always somebody who came with the energy.
So let me ask this then to both of you. All we got, all we need. What's the origin here?
V-Dot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that came from him.
Zach didn't know that.
No, not many people know that. That came from Vinny.
Until recently. I credited Malcolm, and then Vinny said, no, that's
Vinny almost threw him off the table.
Granted, that's not hard to do.
No. Come on, man. Nah. But that was like one of the things that, because it was, when you talk about meeting, you talk about brotherhood and ignore the noise, that was one of the things that, that we just always wore, or, that chip on our shoulders, I guess you labeled the underdogs, but we top dog, and that's how, that was just kind of how we really felt.
When it comes to ignoring the noise, and you talk about the hit on Cooks, your guys' perspective on what this week is like. There's 2 weeks between the NFC Championship game. You got to deal with all the other stuff. You're going up against a potentially dynastic team, the best quarterback in football. The parallels are there from 2017 to this team. How long does it take to sort of get your focus flipped to the task at hand, the game?
So I think it's like we talk about that hit change, like being a game statement, a game like common. They got to get that running game going. Saquon get going early. I think that right there is going to slow their blitz down, number one, because when you blitz and don't hit home, you create another lane. Michael, what do you think?
Now, I think, honestly, it starts today. Like, today's Wednesday, right? So they did the media yesterday. It's all the craziness you got to go through. It's the biggest media day of the year. But when they wake up today, it's first and second down. You got to try to get it back to, if this was week 1 of the season, Wednesday would be first, second down, and we're going through our install. the sooner you can get back into that normal routine, then you can ignore all of the other things. But because if you're still worrying about tickets and family and all of the things that are going on, and it's Wednesday, then you're already messing up your preparation. And I know for me, I took the first part of the week, that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, to enjoy all of it. But once Wednesday morning hit, it's the same as you knew me on as we were back in Philly. And I think that's what leaders need to do, is make this as normal as possible for guys who've never been here. You don't want to make it something that it's not. It's like, because when it kicks off, the ball's the same size, the rules are the same, the field's the exact same. There's nothing new about the game. It's just what we make of it. And so I'm trying to, best I can as a leader, make it nothing.
Yeah.
We had Brandon Brooks in studio back in March, and he spoke poignantly about like what it's like to win a Super Bowl in Philly, that it follows you the rest of your life, that no matter where he goes now, there's people who still come up to him about winning a Super Bowl. What perspective do both of you guys have about like the long-term resonance of winning a Super Bowl in Philadelphia?
I'm gonna stick this quote from Doug. It became a new norm.
Yeah.
Look, we're here today for Philadelphia Super Bowl. 2 years ago, Philadelphia Super Bowl. No matter where you go now, it's either Super Bowl or bust every year, from amongst Eagle fans.
There will never be another first.
Yeah.
You guys will always be the first.
So it's kind of like that kind of was the height of everything, and watching everything come together, and watching this team really transform a new Philadelphia culture that became the new norm.
Yeah, it's as if we fed the starving city, right? Like we're the ones who did it. We met the expectation, we met the desire, and I think like I said earlier, the further and further we get away from that moment, I think the larger that moment gets, because you realize that it's not very easy. When I won my very first year in the NFL, I won a Super Bowl in this city, in New Orleans, and I remember thinking, "Oh, this is going to be easy. I'll be back every year."
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until 9 years later that I was able to go back and really understand how significant that is, one, to me as a player, but more specifically to a city, especially one with as much history as this team, with as much passion as this city, and as many close calls as they've had in the past. To really be able to be the ones to bring that home has meant the world to the many people that I've seen, and it's definitely not slowing down. It's not something that's going away over time. It's only amplified and become more special.
We'll let you get going in a sec. I got two quick ones for you. Prediction on the game, and then for Eagles fans coming down to New Orleans, where do they have to go?
Yeah, so one of my favorite spots is a place called Baun's. It's it's not on Chapatoulas, it's right off Chapatoulas, right in the warehouse district. Really good spot. She's a phenomenal chef.
Okay.
Really cool place. But my predictions for the game, I don't really do scores. I just want the Eagles to win. I think Saquon Barkley is the MVP. And I think Zack Baun makes some life-changing plays.
Go ahead, pitch that bad boy.
I want to make sure. We spoke about my book, but this is the book we should be talking about right now.
We need to get a copy to AJ.
I know, yeah. He need to read it on,
read that on
get
the
it on the
sideline.
sideline and make it go crazy like the other one. But, yeah, What Winners Won't Tell You, Lessons from a Legendary Defender, if it's on audio, on Audible 2, I go through that whole Super Bowl run and talk about the ins and outs, my journey in the league, all the things I've learned about winning, about being successful, the trials and tribulations, but really a lot of memories going down memory lanes, the games, the situations, a lot of insight that you might not have known about that last Super Bowl team, all in this book. I had a great time writing it. It's super vulnerable. That's why my shirt is off, not just because I'm in good shape. It's because it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
And he can write. Like it was kind of like annoying. I remember talking to Bo. We were Bo was like, "What'd you do today?" I said, "I read Malcolm's book." He said, "What'd you think?" I was like, "He doesn't just play football. He's not just a businessman. He can write." Like, come on.
Definitely a better writer than you are a football player.
I actually wrote that. That is true. Yes.
Oh man.
All right. Well, Malcolm Jenkins, thank you so much. We look forward to catching up down the line, and we will be back with more on PHLY.